we're bringing forward this bill today because the government has failed to do so thus far. The promised climate change legislation when it came into office 2 years ago, it's in the programme for government. It's been promised, we were promised to have the heads of the bill on 3 separate occasions in the last year, and they've failed to do that. So our bill is aimed in the first instance to spur the government into action. But we're also bringing forward a bill that's very similar to a bill, and actually that's a redraft of a bill that 3 government ministers put their name to, Simon Coveney and Minister Hogan and Minister Denny McGinley put their names to a similar bill back in 2010. So it's a very reasonable proposal. We have the backing of many environmental organisations for this, and that's the reason that we're bringing it in at this time.
Well, you said that you have previously had the backing of Phil Hogan. Are you expecting members of the government to support the bill? Well,
I think if they were saying 3 years ago that we need climate change legislation and they had a bill very similar to this one, I think their position shouldn't change 3 years later just because they're sitting on the government benches. I mean, the effects of climate change, can be seen right throughout the world. It's causing huge catastrophes right across the world, and here locally in Ireland and in every county in Ireland we can actually see and feel the effects of climate change. So we must do something about it. It's not something that we can long finger, and we also have targets to meet. We have international obligations, and we can't have a carbon cliff where we push those down the road another 3, 4, 5 or 6 years and then have a huge cliff to mount. We must do that now. We must do it on an incremental basis. And what the bill is aimed at is that there would be 5-year carbon budgets, 5-year stages that would compel each government to do their part along the road, right going forward as far as 2050. And the targets we have included in the bill are 80% by 2050, 20% by 2020, and that's what's happening in Britain. That's what's happening across the EU. We must do our part, and I mean it's kind of ironic because we have the EU presidency at the moment. We have the EU presidency here, and Minister Hogan is the president of the EU, the Environmental Council, and yet he hasn't brought in this bill that he promised to do. It's a bit of an embarrassment, I think, for the government and for Labour and for Fine Gael. And we're particularly anxious to hear what the Labour Party have to say on this matter, because they signed up to this, they put it into their programme for government. Yes, Phil Hogan seems to be keeping his big foot on it. He's not letting it get out of the traps, and their view on it would be very useful. And also just to say that he published a roadmap last year, saying that the heads of the bill were supposed to be produced in 2012 under that roadmap, but the roadmap has brought the government and Labour right into the end of a cul-de-sac. So we need action, and we need it now. And this bill, we believe, is practical. It can be done. It's very much, can be implemented. We want the government to do this, and what we want to do with this bill is to spur the government, this current government, into action where they have completely failed the people and failed the environment.